Welcome back to another episode of Talk It Up with Tierra Monique. I am your girl, Tierra Monique, and it is time to talk it up. Well, hello, my beautiful people. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Talk It Up with Tierra Monique. Happy New Year. It is 2025, and I have been incognito. I have been MIA for quite some time, but I'm back now. I have been working a lot on myself and my mental and trying to figure things out. And that is what today's podcast is about. Today's podcast is called Triggered. It doesn't have to be that way. And I guess you can say, does it have to be that way? Question mark. But the main thing is we're focusing on triggers and what triggers do and what can happen if you entertain triggers or how should you respond to them. Okay, so first, as always, I always like to pray before I start the podcast. So God, we thank you for today. We thank you for my listeners. I thank you for the ability to come back and have the courage to be obedient and do what you asked me to do, which is share my life lessons and journey and healing story with others so that they can also find their way back to themselves and live a better life for themselves and live a better version of themselves. So God, I pray that those who are listening will start that path if they haven't already done so. And if they have, they will continue on that journey to show up for themselves and live their best lives for themselves, and also to give you their life and let you have your way so that they may not be boggled down with worry, anxiety, and fear. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, you guys. So triggered. Why triggered? So here's the story behind this topic today. I know I have been triggered before. Sometimes triggers can come from relationships or friendships or family relationships. For me, it's happened in all three. But more recently, I met someone and I think I triggered them. And because I triggered them, well, let me go back. First of all, what's a trigger? A trigger to me, this is in Tierra's terms, this is my dictionary definition of triggers. A trigger is something that is sparked by the action of either another person or a noun, a person, place, or thing. It's something that's sparked. It's something that is sparked within you. So it's so you become then triggered. And triggers can stop you from continuing, or they can cause you to reflect. In my case, I can say that in the situation I'm having right now, I met someone, fell head over heels in love with him. And I thought that was happening as well. And I can't say it's not, but I'm speaking from my point of view. And it seemed like it was going great until he was triggered by me. And I can't go into details about exactly what triggered him, because I want to respect his personal life and his privacy. But what I can say is that it was of a trigger that made him, to me, I'm going to say from my perspective, it made him reflect or think about what happened in his past relationships. Well, I guess I shouldn't say I'm respecting his privacy, so I'm telling his business, so that's kind of like out the window right about now. He told me that he was in a relationship for a couple of years where the young lady had repeatedly cheated on him. And he stayed. even after he found out a couple of times, and then eventually he decided to leave. He decided to end the relationship, and that relationship was not right before me. I think it was a relationship before another relationship, but even still, it happened. So now that we're together, at least is what I think that's happening as we speak. Now that we're together, or we're experiencing each other, I should say, I triggered him. And because I triggered him, he now has doubts. And the reason why I want to talk about this, because I know in my past, I've been triggered by what someone did that made me think about what someone else did in my past, which caused me then to not move forward with them without really taking a step back to think, okay, I'm triggered, but do I have to respond this way? Do I have to cut it off, or can I figure out what about them or what about their behavior triggered me? Can I discuss it with them? And those things I didn't do. I just automatically cut it off. And I think that we live in a world where red flags have been this thing where it's like this trend. Red flag, cut it off, cut it off. But I think sometimes we make things red flags that aren't red flags. There could be a yellow flag that just needs a conversation. It could be like, okay, warning, this could be something, or it could not be. So let me take a step back and think about it. Am I being triggered for real, or is what's happening right now really happening? Or it's just like, when you're walking, you could be walking down the street or whatever, and you just get a whiff of a smell, and it takes you back to a memory, and that memory could either be good or it could be bad. But does that mean that you're going to now stop walking? Because you have to keep walking, you have to keep moving. You can't stop. That memory came, you deal with it, you keep moving. And I think that is what triggers do. It's like a memory. It triggers a memory in your head. It triggers an experience that you had with someone else, especially in relationships with someone else, that can cause you to have a fight or flight reaction. It's like, either I'm going to fight this out, I'm going to work through this trigger, I'm going to figure out what's really happening here, or I'm going to have the flight response where I'm just going to dash. I'm going to label this as a red flag and say that God was protecting me and walk away. When the truth is, if I take a step back and say, okay, is this what's really happening or not? And in my situation, I was being accused of cheating when I didn't. And even after showing all the receipts, I guess you can say, like all the proof of where I was, the location I was, there's no way this could happen. In his head, it just didn't feel right. In his head, things weren't going the way that he was used to, or it was just doesn't make any sense. And we talked about it after a while, after things cooled off, and he said that he was going to move past it and continue to experience me. He didn't say experience, but continue to get to know me, just slow it down and let us take our time, even though we had these emotions for each other and these feelings for each other. And I was down with it. I was okay. I'm good with it. But it didn't go away. And now we're faced with, are we going to move ahead or not move ahead? And I guess you can say, I can't say we're, because I'm okay with moving ahead. But right now he's still having doubts because it just didn't feel right to him. Or he says it's his intuition. And I really think what I did or did not do triggered a fear of his. It triggered a memory it triggered a memory of what could possibly happen if he continued with me based on what happened to him before me. And that's something that we really have to take notice of when we do come across triggers. You have to ask yourself, is this reality or is this a fear? Am I afraid that if I jump in to this with my whole body, that I'm going to get hurt or treated the same way or abused or taken advantage of in the same way that I was before? Now, some things are alarms and you should definitely pay attention to them. But what kind of alarm is it? It is okay, let me get more clarification about this. Let me have a conversation about this, okay? Kind of alarm. Or is it a do not go, do not collect $200, stop, do not proceed kind of alarm? And I think, like I said before, in today's society, we don't even take the time to think about or evaluate what's really happening. We just automatically slap the fire truck alarm on something and say, okay, I need to get out of this because there's no way in the world I'm going to let this happen to me again. And I felt this before. This ain't right. And it's like, is it though? Or are you just afraid? Or are you not asking the questions? Or because especially when someone shows you proof of what's really going on, and when you still reject it, to me, it's a clear sign that you have what I call post-traumatic relationship disorder. Whereas the trauma that you went through in that previous relationship messed you up so badly that you thought the only way for you to heal was to allow time to let you heal. But time does not heal all wounds. And I know that is what we've been told. Oh, time heals all wounds. It does not. Time does not heal all wounds if you have not taken the time to heal the wounds. I'm going to say that again. Time does not heal all wounds if you have not taken the time to heal the wounds. If you have not put in the work to heal your mental health, your emotional self, your heart from that past relationship trauma that you went through, whether it was emotional abuse, whether someone put you through emotional manipulation, they were narcissistic, they always made you feel like you were in the wrong, they were always in the right, you were being abused physically, they were cheating on you habitually, they were off and on, they were constantly ghosting you, giving you the silent treatment. It was just such a toxic environment, and you finally got out of it, you finally ended it, but all you did was end it and let time go and keep going, but you never did anything about it. You didn't ask God to help you pray, to be consistent in prayer each and every day that you get triggered, so that you'll know, that you won't bring baggage into a new relationship or a new dating experience that will cause you to abruptly end it just because you think something might happen, which is a catalyst for anxiety, because now you're thinking that something is going to happen in the future that hasn't even proven itself that it's going to happen, and you bring about this anxiety upon yourself, because that's what it is. You're creating this scenario that hasn't even happened, that you don't even know it's going to happen, and you bring that upon yourself, and you cause yourself to worry and doubt and have fear, and you start to give that person the one arm and the stiff arm, and you're like, stay back. And when the truth is, it's not the other person, it's you. You haven't really taken the time to heal your wounds. And not just with prayer, but also maybe therapy if you have the ability to do therapy. Or maybe having that confidant of somebody to talk to about what's going on with you. You know, it's sad when we allow our past to dictate our future and our present. It's so sad. And I'm trying not to cry because I really thought this was it for me. You know, I was like, this is going to be the one, you know. He met my family. He met my kids. And I still am head over heels for him. I cannot see myself right now dating anybody. And you open up your heart and you're vulnerable and you're transparent with someone and you're trying to give it your all, but because they haven't healed from their situation and they're in denial about it, it's nothing that you can do. It's nothing that you can do but give it to God. And that's why I wanted to talk about this, because even if you ask all the questions, like that's what I was like, maybe this is my fault because I didn't ask all the questions. Maybe I didn't give it enough time for us to see who we really were on the inside, or how we really behave. And that could very well be true. But I think even sometimes you can be with someone for a long time and ask all the right questions and they never and then one day you do something or say something that triggers them. And if they're not healed from it, it can just create this volcano of just relationship turmoil, like where that person is giving you the silent treatment and walking away from you. It's just like, you know, it's sad. And I think the reason why I'm this point in my life where I want to give so much grace is because God has given me so much grace and so much mercy. He's given me what I don't deserve, and He's kept away things that I did deserve. And when I say that, I mean, like, you know, the consequence that I did deserve, He's kept those away. That's mercy. And the grace, He's given me things that I had no business getting, because I haven't done anything to earn it, you know. So that's why I give so much grace in friendships and relationships for a long time, because I know God's given it to me. And also because when I was married, I cheated on my spouse, and I remember how much that hurt not only my ex-husband, but it ended up hurting my family, because I broke up my family at the end of the day, not because of the cheating, just because of me just being selfish and in my own head about stupid stuff and needing to grow up, which I ended up, the divorce made me grow up. It didn't make me grow up right away though. But when you think about it, it's like hindsight 22. You know, you think about the things that you coulda, shoulda, woulda did. And because I went through that, because I caused so much hurt on someone else, I told myself that if I got another chance, you know, to be in a really committed relationship where it looked like it was, not only it looked like, it was like it's gonna go somewhere for real, like family, like marriage, that I would give it my all and I would do everything in my power to remain faithful and loyal and supportive and be a great, you know, wife and confidant and, you know, a best friend to my spouse, to my life partner. And I would do that. So when he accused me of cheating, it hurt me so much, because I was like, there's no way. I didn't do this. This is not happening. And then it's like those things where when you know that you didn't do something and somebody accuses you of doing it, it's like it baffles your mind. Like, what? It's like, what are you talking about? There's no way. And the truth is that everybody has the ability to do anything. Yes, somebody could go out and cheat on you right now. Somebody could be cheating on you right now as you speak while you're listening to this. That is so true. But is it true? You know what I'm saying? Like, they could, but are they? And that's the question you have to ask. They could. Could somebody be lying to you? They could be lying, but are they? And I think that's the question that you have to also ask yourself is this really true? Are my feelings really real in this instance? Yes, feelings can be facts, but feelings aren't always facts. And I want to apologize to all my listeners for what I think I said some years ago, or some episodes a while ago, that feelings are facts, or whatever I said. I don't know. I just know that now I know that feelings can be facts, but they're not always facts. Because sometimes your emotions can be driven by your fear and your anxiety and by your trauma that you endured. And until you face that trauma, until you face it and say, okay, this is what I went through, okay, but this is not what I'm going through right now. And if that person hasn't given you any kind of reason to believe that they're doing something to harm you, if you don't have any proof of it, you have to ask yourself, is this true, or is this my fear pushing me to believe these scenarios in my head that I've created in order to justify my reasoning of wanting to end the relationship or end the friendship or in whatever agreement you have? Because I think that is what happens. We end up in these situations where I've never felt this way before. Oh my gosh, this is too good to be true. And then you go, oh, nope, something has to happen. You're just waiting for the shoe to drop, because the shoe always drops. Because if you've ever been in a situation in your life where you've constantly were in situations where it was too good to be true and the shoe dropped and it never went the way you thought it was going to go, and the relationships always failed, the friendships always ended, then when something good is in front of you, it's hard for you to receive it if you have not accepted that life is life and things happen. But if you are in the mindset of, this is always going to happen to me, I'm never going to have a successful relationship, I'm never going to have a successful friendship, I'm never going to have a successful relationship with my family, then you won't be open to receive the good that's in front of you if you're thinking that only bad is ever going to happen to you. So that's all I want to talk about today. It's triggers. Triggered. Does it have to be that way? Does it have to be a red flag? Does it have to be this bad thing that's happening to you? Could it be that something they said reminded you of what someone said before, and they said that right before they did the unthinkable to you, and now you think that it's going to happen again? My advice to you, my uncertifiable, unlicensed advice to you would be to take a step back and ask yourself, is this true? Right? Are my feelings true? Or is this my fear? Are my feelings true, or is this my fear? I know another word that's thrown out there is my intuition. No, it's not always your intuition. It could definitely well be your fear. It could definitely well be fear and just not wanting to end up in the same emotional pit of sadness that you were in your previous relationships, that's causing you to say, I don't want to go no further than this because I no longer feel the way I felt before about you. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can choose how you decide to move after you've been triggered. You have the control over what you decide to do. You can't say the other person made you do it. That's not true. We all have the ability to make our own decisions. It's not anyone else's responsibility. We have to be accountable for ourselves. So you can say, well, I don't feel the way I used to feel. Well, how did you feel? Were you happy? Were you joyful? Okay. Were you on cloud nine? Okay. Well, what caused you not to be happy or joyful on cloud nine anymore? And whatever that is, whatever that is that caused you not to feel that way before, is it valid? You know? And can you get it back? Do you want to get it back? And especially in relationships, we focus so much on being in the honeymoon phase and the newness phase and the, sugar-coated rainbows and lollipops and lemon drops phase, that when things start to shift a little bit and get a little bit not like before, we go, well, this is not it. So I must not supposed to be with you because we're not skipping and holding hands and running around with sugar fairies and, and jelly beans and lollipops anymore. And that's not real relationships. Real relationships go through the ups and downs, and they only can work if two people decide to make it work. They only work if two people decide to make it work. So you can choose to walk away from that person, or you can choose to really take a step back and say, is it me or is it them? And you have to be honest with yourself. And then apologize and say, you know what, it's my bad. I was triggered. What you said something, you did something, or that made me think about so-and-so, and I thought that I was about to walk back into the same thing. But when I think about who you are as a person and what you've shown me up until now, I know that you're not going to do that to me. I have no reason to think that you're going to do this to me the way they did that to me. Because you can only go off what people show you about themselves. Yes, I can tell somebody all day long, I'm going to be faithful to you, I'm going to be loyal to you. But until I prove you different, then why not believe that? Why not give me the benefit of the doubt and say, she's shown me nothing but support and love and care and devotion. Why am I thinking this differently over one situation that she had no idea that happened to me before, that she said or did something that triggered me? It's like, especially if you never experienced like really true love before, or if you did and then you went through a bout of bad relationships and now you're back to a situation where now you're in a good one, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right. because you can't approach every situation the same way. Every relationship is not going to be the same. And the way that someone loves you or say they love you, it's not the same way that someone else is going to love you. The basics of love is respect, patience, kindness, not keeping record of wrongs, not fault finding, not dishonoring each other. That those to me are the basics of love. Preferring each other over another, making sure that you're doing, whatever you can to love on them and appreciate them and encourage them and support them and have their back. That, to me, that's the basics of love, and that's what you should always want to see and receive. But someone might go above and beyond on that and shower you with, unconditional love, where they accept your flaws and all and everything else that may happen in the future, and they're just down with you no matter what. And maybe you never had that before. You may have had everything else, but you didn't have that. There was always a condition. And now that you have that, you're like, wait a minute, I haven't experienced before. You're a liar. This is not right. This is too good to be true. And that's not true. That's not what the reality is. So, are you triggered? Have you been triggered? And what can you do about it? You can pray to God to help you to release those past hurt and pain that you endured from your previous relationships, so that you won't attach them and project those things onto your new relationship, your new partner. And you can actually identify those things that triggered you, and talk to your partner and say, hey, when you said this, it reminded me of this. And I'm not saying that you're going to do this, but I just want to let you know that when you said this is what I was thinking. But I want us to keep moving forward, because I don't believe, from what I know about you right now, that you would do this to me. It's like just being honest. And I think sometimes that vulnerability of being honest, saying, I'm scared. I'm afraid of what you might possibly have the ability to do to me. That's what taking a risk on love is. It's like a relationship is a huge risk. You are letting down so many walls day by day, letting this person inside of your mind, inside your soul, which is your mind, will, and your emotions, letting them inside your soul, figuring out who you are at the risk of them either using it against you, or at the risk of them loving you through it, And I think that we should be coming into relationships to help heal each other, and not like heal each other of like true brokenness, but like really healing each other to the point where I'm going to show you what it means to really be loved this way. I'm going to heal you from that brokenness. God is going to take care of the other part. He's got all of it. But He's put me here in your life for a reason. For us to help heal and grow each other in real, true, genuine love. And it takes work, and it takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes real honesty with ourselves to say, this person is not the previous person before. They're not that person. And you have to go into the relationship with that mindset, that I'm not going to allow my past hurt and pain to dictate how I experience this person that's in front of me. Until they show me otherwise, I am going to believe that they have my best interest at heart. I'm going to believe them for whatever they tell me face value until they show me otherwise. And because you have to build that trust. And yes, so that's that. So that's all I have for today. I hope that you learned something from it. I don't know what's going to happen between me and this gentleman. I just know that I'm praying that God will heal him and help me to help him, and that we can get past this hurdle, because, life is too short to be holding on to things that do not benefit you, that don't serve you any kind of good. It doesn't. And when we hold on to things that keep us from what our blessing, then we'll always wonder what would have been, or we'll put the blame on others when it's really our fault for not taking the time to be grown up enough to ask the real questions and have the real conversation before we make permanent decisions. Okay? Okay. All right. So until next time, I ask you to love yourself, love God, love other people. Seek God first in all you do. And take time to self-evaluate your triggers and what they could be, so that you won't make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. Until next time, God bless and smooches.